Welcome to the Cool Tool Show and Tell. Our special guest this week is Keith Kelley, no relation. Keith, do you want to introduce yourself to our watchers and listeners?
Yes, I'm Keith Kelley. I'm from Maine. I teach middle school. I've been teaching for about 33 years. I teach middle school integrated technology. It's like industrial arts we had, but kind of updated. So my fifth graders build cars and boats and work in teams. Sixth graders do Lego robotics and coding and asynchronous grouping from different classes. Seventh grade do skateboards. They sand, drill, make the board, paint it in art, and skate it, and then have a board when they're done. Learn all the power tools. Eighth grade do 3D printing and design, where they learn the printers, they prototype, and they create objects where they make and take. They create something and they get to earn print time. And then I also do a guitar building club after school, and I'm involved in the high school. We'll talk about one of the tools, the mill, and why we're doing that, and now we'll talk about that program too as well.
Well, that's really fantastic. I can just see from your background, for those who are just listening, you're standing in the middle of a really cool shop that would be like a workshop, kind of industrial arts school shop that's quite fantastic, surrounded by half-built guitars and half-built skateboards. So we look forward to hearing more about that, but you must have an awful lot of tools, and they get probably a really good beating and a really good evaluation from your students. So what do you have to suggest to us?
Yeah, and that is something. So these tools, they can really be used, and they also, you're going from beginners to a little bit higher level, because they go from middle school all the way up to high school. The first one I'm going to talk about is the shop box. And what this unit is, so I have my cordless drill, and I have a handle, and when you spin it, it spins the bag, the sander, the spindle sleeve over it, but it's a bag sander. So it's really fabulous when you have.
Wait. I don't know what what do you mean? But it's a bag sander. I've never heard that term before.
So what I'll do is I'll take it off. Well, instead of the normal sanders you have, so I have this unit, which is just a spindle sander, like you have spindle sanders that you.
Right. So you're holding up like a drill or a plane, and there's a spindle, like a dowel, big fat dowel coming off the bottom, and that's covered with sandpaper. So it spins around. So there's this handle that's spinning, and that's what you use to spin.
Yeah, and we have tons of that with, people have spindle sanders and all of that. The problem is these are somewhat stationary. This one's a little bit movable, but the surface is hard, where this is a bag, so it's soft. So and you can put air in it on the very tip on the end. There's an air thing, so I can add air or take air away from it. So I can make it like give more or less. And what's really cool, you just hold it and it spins and it makes you drill. The other thing is it gives you the ability, especially when I do my guitar projects, when you're trying to get in these really tight circles where the top of the head of the guitar, where you have your horns and stuff on the guitar, or you're trying to shape the side for your belly cuts and your side cuts. This is fabulous. So we use
it with two hands. One hand was a trigger, the other hand is. Oops.
Sorry. Yeah, we use it with two hands. So one hand here, one hand here. So one's holding the drill, and then you just put your work in a vise. Obviously, you saw the thing just fell, but you put your thing in a vise, and you can really work the tool. And I find it's really easy of use with the kids. The lower level kids, I'll change the chuck, so the chuck will give a lot quicker if I'm worried. But it's really easy to use, pretty safe. It's really hard. You might scuff yourself, but it's really hard to hurt yourself with this. But it took when they were hand rasping and doing that. And you try to do hand sanders, but it really can't get in those curves. And again, you lose the curves with the flat type hand sanders and things like that. This keeps it. I said I have a link to it, but they're about. Let's see what I have it. So they're about $100.
Right. And so this is a much fatter spindle. It's about the size of a Pringles can. And it's covered with sandpaper. But as you said, it can be deflated or inflated to be more rigid or soft. And it's really good for doing inside curves, which I guess you would need for a guitar or other wood projects.
my skateboards, they can round the edges of the skateboard really well too. And it helps because they will like the flat spot stuff. You know, they'll like to drive it in and make a curve or a flat spot, but the bag kind of shapes around it.
Right.
There are other like this version, it's a cheaper thing, but it's not a bag. It's just literally the rubber sleeve and the sand slides over it. But you can hook this on a drill, same thing. It's a lot raw, you know, there's no give to it.
Right.
The bag one is very forgiving.
Okay. And are there multiple versions and models of brand of that, or is that just one company that makes it?
The shop box is the one I used, but they have a thinner one. So they have that one is the bag, and then they have a smaller one for smaller diameter. Then again, same thing around there. And there are other variations where you don't get the bag part of it, but it gives you the bag aspect with a real portable and really be able to move it.
And what's it called again?
It is a Shop Fox hand pneumatic drum sander.
Shop Fox. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a 4x1. That's a small one. Mine is a little bigger. There's a 7.5-inch one, you know, so you can pick. That's the bigger one is what I'm demoing. Okay. But there is a smaller version too.
Okay. Shop Box. Pneumatic drum. I think it's handheld pneumatic drum sander.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's one I hadn't heard. Thank you for that. So what's second tool on your list?
Okay. Well, the other thing is so the kids get guitar bodies in the middle of the process. So they have to cut the headstock and sand the neck. They have to sand the body, and then they do painting, and they do some assembly, some simple soldering. But in that, they have to drill all their holes. So they have to put things on it and mark where all the holes are going to be, and put all the holes on their unit. So, for example, this pick guard, you have to sit down and they have to go and put all the little pick guard little holes in it. So you can do that with a drill. The problem becomes with these guys is they'll all want to drill deep through it. So doing depth stop. So you can do a drill press, and that does work. But the problem with the drill press is a lot of times, like I have a drill press over there, this is sometimes hard to fit where to line up where you want. So I have this unit, which is it's made by Milescraft. I bought it from Grizzly, and it's the same concept. So that's just a drill, but it makes your drill a drill press.
Okay. All right.
So what it allows you to do is set it right where you want it on a flat surface, mark your holes, and then you can set your depth so you can't drill too far. But what's really good is, again, portable. I could screw it down, but with these guys, and you don't really have to. You just line it up, put it down, and just drill the hole you want.
So I would call this a portable drill press, and what it looks like is a kind of a frame that's holding a regular cordless drill in a vertical position with two bars on the side. So the cordless drill is kind of sliding up and down with this guide that ensures that the drill is perpendicular. And you can set it with depth gauges to prevent it from locking too far. And so this is a way that you can have a drill press. If you didn't have a drill press, or you wanted one that was portable for working on something bigger, then you could get onto your drill press table. So that's very, very handy. It would be really good, like if you had to make perpendicular holes in a kind of a slab or something, like a table.
Up on a wall or something, like where you're looking for depth. And because it's, again, totally portable. It has a spring, so it pops back. You can change the depth. And again, this could be screwed somewhere too. So if you really needed an accurate straight hole, kids have a hard time with cordless. They have a hard time cordless at all. It's really amazing. Kids have lost all fine motor skills. They can do a phone, but they can't use a screwdriver. They don't know what a Phillips head is. They'll stand there on my skateboards and spin a Phillips head and not hold the other end to tighten it. So I make all the kids go through and use a drill, cleaning their holes and drilling the holes. And this gives them a way to understand depth and have a little more control. And again, I do it with all kids, all levels, all abilities, special needs, all the way up. Have all done this with me. So. And
this is called a Drillmate drill guide.
Yeah, Milescraft is who makes it, and it's from Grizzly.
Right.
It's Drillmate drill guide.
It's about $40.
Yep.
It looks pretty hefty.
Yep.
and could probably be dropped a couple times without destroying it.
That has been happening. Same as the shop box with the kids. Everything has been dropped. So far, I haven't had anything broken yet with that they've done it. It's funny. They have to learn how, the chuck. The only thing I would say is it comes with a little tiny chuck key for tightening. And you just want to watch that because that's going to disappear. So I have 2 or 3, but I put them off to the side and I'll help the kid and I put it away because in your own shop, you're fine. But in my classroom, that stuff would just disappear.
You could do what they do on banks and stuff. You could attach it to a huge piece of wood or something that can't be easily lost.
Yeah.
So Keith, what's your third tool?
Well, the other tool I do is I do some laser engraving, and I kind of have 2 variations. We have a really fancy one that can go in stone and cut through things at the high school. But at my age, it's time, to be able to laser and get to it. And I only need that. I want them to have the experience of it. So, because when I have all my kids they take their boards and they have to go and they have to make a logo, their own logo that burns onto the board. One that gives an experience of using a laser, but also every board becomes unique. Because if not, they have 100 boards a year, so kids will paint the board black and not know who's who. But this way they get to incorporate that in or whatnot. Because they get a board middle of the process. So they all use software to make a logo, and then we take that logo. They're really tiny. Okay. There's 5 million brands. Like it's one of those tools that has been, once it's made, like there's tons of it's the same tool, just with tons of brand. And it does like a 3x3. So you put it down and you set it.
So you're holding a little device that's like a small toaster size and shape. And it has the bottom is open. It's kind of hollow inside. Wow. It's really weird. And so, you put this open-ended toaster over the surface that you're going to laser etch, and it's just sitting there. And is it like battery operated or cordless?
This is you plug it. There's a wire that goes into power and a wire that goes into your computer. The software is really simple. You're not editing in it. You're just bringing in the image, and then it's pretty much wood. You're not really going to etch or cut metal or etch on anything like that. You're only doing like 3x3. You're not doing any fancier than that.
Right.
The only couple things I recommend is I close the other sides. I'll put glass so you can't look in, because kids will look in. They'll come open and people will look in at the laser. I made myself a little jig, so when I put it on this board, it's all bolted down, so there's no way to pick it up because it's a live laser. So if you moved it around, you could easily set it on a table. The good is I could burn on my table. You could really put it anywhere and burn as long as you have power, but it's really portable that way. So that becomes an issue of safety. So I really bolt it down when it's ready to burn. And when it's done, I make sure I just completely unplug it so it doesn't accidentally be running.
Right. So yes, so that would be kind of cool. Like if you wanted to do a table, you could do a tiling pattern that could be repeated.
You can repeat. So because you either can do where you leave it blank and you burn, or you burn everything and leave the wood as your outline. And you decide.
It also looks like it would kind of takes the place in the old school of a branding, a hot iron branding.
Yes.
Which was a very common way for woodworkers to sign or, a brand, the logo on things. I guess this is the equivalent.
Yeah, it's so like on Amazon, Wainlux is one. It's a 300. And so it's like $200 in that range. And that it's a square little box. And then if you look on Amazon, if you look at these, you'll see 20 of them. They're all the exact same thing, but they're just another labels slapped on them. Right. And they're pretty much the same. So I can't, even the 2 brands I have here are, one is My Do It, MWDOIT. And I don't even know if I can get that one anymore. I have an older one that's completely another brand that I don't see anymore. So they just kind of rebrand them.
Right.
But
And so it looks like you can etch glass, and
yep,
you could probably etch some metal, aluminum or something,
yep,
something soft, brass maybe.
yeah,
Leather.
anything. I tried to do it like a laptop case to see, and it's just it's a lot of work, but you can do some simple stuff. But I wouldn't recommend. I don't know. I find it just for wood. The value is the smallness, the quickness, and also the portability of it. You could do big letter, big letter, big letter. It's just I do have to say you have to measure and figure out where you're putting it, because you're just doing it by the box that fits. So
Right.
and another variation. So that's an entry level. That's a real quick one. This Ortura I use here. This is just bigger. So, and this can cut through a little bit more. With kids, I have to have a case for it. This is in the $700 range.
Mm-hmm.
This can have other things too. Like you can buy a little spinner unit for the, like tumblers and things like that. I bought an extension kit because I'm going to take it out, and then I could put it on our picnic tables and do our whole name on it. This one, it's pretty simple to use. So I just use Lightburn software, and you can do tons of stuff with this. It's just that next level. You know, the other one is good. All my kids get a chance to do it. Then when I have a couple little bigger projects, our alternate ed are using this on their picnic tables, stuff like that.
So on the first one, the little square one, the 3x3, will that also cut through like, 1/8-inch plywood?
I have not tried. I think I have run it at 100% and 16% speed, because lasers, it's how strong the laser and then how fast it moves. And it does this wood, but I've never, I haven't been able to cut through. I think if you left it and did it like multiple passes and over, yes, but it just takes so long that I'm either going to move up to this next level or go to my bigger laser.
All right.
I wouldn't recommend it for that. It's good for this though.
Right. So it's closer just for like a little brand thing rather than a surface etch, I guess is the best way. Yeah.
A boot for work, a slipper for play. Sometimes, some stuff you need it to work. Sometimes it's, it's for adding extra.
Right.
Link.
Well, that's really cool. I had no idea that they even existed. And you're right. There seem to be multiple versions of them, kind of no brand. And they kind of vary between 170 and 200.
I'd recommend too is there's ones that are completely open, so you just have the laser. That's then it becomes an issue of how trustworthy are you gonna. This is not something I just start and I walk away from either, because you are laser burning and stuff like that. It was funny. The kids it smells like burning smoke because it's burning wood when it's doing. I put a little filter air system right by it just to suck the away, but I wouldn't walk away from it. Also, the open ones would make me nervous, but this one's closing up. And again, I said, I have a whole system I made so it just locks down. Because the laser is live.
It's also the environment. If you're doing it in a classroom, it's one thing. If you're by yourself working at home, that might be a different.
The software is really basic, I have to say. It's very limited. Basically, you can bring the picture in, you can resize it a little bit. You do most of your editing outside. You just bring it in. You can say how fast and how depth, but that's about it. You're not really, doing anything beyond.
And so, do they take an SD card? Is that how it's
USB. It's plugged to I have a PC that is plugged into. It could do it back to, but I plug it into my PC, and then the files come from that software. So, I see. Yeah. So there's no USB to plug into it. It's just it's a wire a USB that runs into the laptop. It has to go through that way.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Huh. Yep. So you have to be near to bring it to your computer.
Yeah. I have a PC set up beside it, and it brings it and it's plugged in. I just use the software is old enough. You don't need a basic Windows machine or you don't need a fancy dancy machine at all.
Right. Okay.
It's not going to be Chrome based or anything like that. So.
All righty. Okay. Well, thanks. That's again really very interesting. So, what's your fourth choice here?
And this is a jump up. So, I got a grant and I bought a wood mill for the school. So a Wood-Mizer, an L25.
Mill. So mill has lots of different connotations to me. What do you mean? You mean like cutting a log into like a portable sawmill?
Yeah, it's a portable sawmill. So
Wow.
what it does, we can, I guess I've got the link and I've got video of the kids using it. Basically, it comes in a kit and it's like an erector set. You just put it together. You basically have the blade. It's like a bandsaw you turn sideways, and then you just push the bandsaw through the blade. The one we have, the entry level one, the entry level one does the basics. Then as you go up, it gets more expensive. And all I found was it's hydraulics for lifting bigger wood onto it, or portability, a trailer that it can move. And it just gets bigger than what you can cut. But I didn't want to get that big because I'm using it at school. But what it does is I think it's like a 12-foot to 16-foot piece, and we can get an extension to go farther, and about a 25-inch round. You put the log in, and you just keep cutting, and you keep making pieces. So this was cut, from one tree. We go and cut this piece, and then we're building a kiln shed. We just got another grant this year to dry it. I find I just put this in my house with my wood fire in this drove. We're going to take this and cut this up into our own guitar bodies and use our CNC machine to cut them. But this is just a piece of maple. The beauty with Maine is literally outside my school right now, there's a cherry tree, there's a maple. Someone gave us 117 acres donated. So we have science kids like managing the forest, and then our alternate ed cut the trees, and then we take it to the mill, and then we cut it in boards, and we can cut it dimensional lumber. We can cut it to support beams, like to build stuff like that. I'm holding up, different variations of the support. This is a billet.
Yeah, it was like a 4x4 inch,
Yep.
Yep. Stud. And so, you're holding up great big planks of rough sawn lumber, and which you can plane and then glue up.
Yeah, so we glue up into our blanks, and we have a planer. We can plane them, so we're value adding, and then we can use our CNC or our routers to cut out the guitar necks and the guitar shapes. And so in the end, we use our machines to cut the bodies out. We have a full guitar. We also in Maine have tons of companies around us that are cutting wood. So we have Duratherm does windows. Well, they use mahoganies to do all their windows. So they have throw-made mahogany, like beautiful stuff that they just have to get rid of because they can't all the pieces. So they give this to us. So my kids are gluing it into guitar bodies, making hat racks, and tons of today a kid's making an album holder, tons of stuff with it.
So I guess with a multi-year program, you could have the kids mill the wood on the first year, and then by the time they're further along, it'll be all dried, and they can use that very same wood to make their guitar.
Yeah, we'll get once we get it the kiln next year, that year's we'll make the next year's wood, and we'll just build. And you can build outside classrooms. A long-term goal we want to mill wood, cut kits with the CNC to make like greenhouses or little sheds for schools. So, and then you set it and the kids just bolt it all together. Because we'll be able to do that. We're already cutting. We've been cutting to it. Like I said, I can share some pictures. Plans.
So this is a mill, which is a substantial investment. It's about $4,000.
Yeah. But you make your dollars. I have to say, we got it, and I have a teacher running it, and we sold wood. We've already got half the money back just from selling wood, because the dimensional lumber, lumber went way up. Yeah. And they couldn't get it. And they also couldn't get, you can get a 2x4 that's not really a 2x4. We can make a real 2x4. We can also spec it. So, and again, the wood was off our land. So we would cut hemlock, we cut some cedar, and we just sold it. And all we're doing is making it self-fund.
Sure.
And we're adding some value. Like we can do some projects again, build picnics and benches, and add laser engraving stuff to it.
Yeah, I think every school district should have their own lumber mill.
Yeah. The only thing that was scary is it's scary as a teacher, but it's insanely safe. That's what I was shocked by, because what happens is the danger spot is where the blade is, or where it's located, where you push, you're so far away. And it has so it's like a bandsaw where the band goes around it. Well, it also has a belt, like a drive belt that's on it. So if it breaks, it just keeps it in itself. And then you can buy the blades and have them resharpened, as long as you don't run into the little metal holders, stuff like that. it's, and like I said, we've had kids using it. Anybody can use it.
It's far more safe than a table saw.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. My router, is more at state. I just less safe than that thing, because you just push it out, and then and even we're having even the leftover of the when you cut the top, we can do live edge stuff, live edge tables, live edge stuff. We've had people say, "Oh, I want that," request that. And what's actually happening too is people in the they have trees that, "Oh, I'll give it to you and let you guys process it," and so a lot of times, again, it's not worth it to hire somebody but our labor's free. So the product, we can do that, and the kids can give back.
Yeah. Well, that's really, really fabulous. So, Keith, thank you for those really unusual and really fantastic suggestions. Can you tell me about whether you have a project that you work on personally or some passion that you have that you want to share?
Well, I do have an old classic Mustang, a 64.5 I've restored. I've actually had kids help me restoring it. And I've really loved that. It's a nice, that was an interesting thing doing with kids, because I thought I'd bring stuff in and they'd take forever and they'd be like, done with it. I actually have the son of the kid, one of the kids when he was 8th grade, that helped me with my guitar, with my Mustang. So I like that. I like to keep, I keep trying to add that stuff in. That's another project.
Yeah.
The guitar project is really the thing that I'm into right now. Every year, I've been letting kids come in, they get a kit, and they build a guitar. So I'm averaging 10 to 15 kids I've had 5th, but all the way up to 7th and 8th, a couple high schoolers. They get to sand, boom, and they make a guitar, and it's a working guitar that they can learn in music. I've gotten a grant from the Perloff Foundation that lets me teach teachers it. So last year I taught 7 teachers. They got to get a kit, build a guitar. So when they were done, they had a working guitar that was theirs. And then I gave them an extra kit so they could build with other kids to try to get them to do that. Because it seems intimidating, but with a simple sander, a couple simple tools, painting, and a little simple soldering, these kits are really easy. They came from guitarbuilders.org, which is a science grant that was from a Purdue professor that was trying to do this, to get physics taught by building a guitar. And that grant kind of taught me, and then I'm trying to spread it out. I'm doing another 8 or 10 teachers in March coming up, in a middle Southern state. I'm trying to do it so everyone gets a chance to.
So can other people buy these guitar kits?
Yes, if you go to guitarbuilders.org, that's the program. And what happened is that at the same time, a college, Sinclair College, what they do is they're teaching their kids how to run CNC machines and do the manufacturing of the bodies and stuff. So you can buy 2 types of kit. You can buy a kit like this, that is all you're really doing is you're cutting the headstock and a little bit of filing, and a little bit of sanding and a little bit of soldering and painting, and then you have a complete car. Or the next level is they're giving it to you where it's not quite finished sanding. There's a lot more sanding to do, a lot more soldering, and like you're actually assembling the neck and shaping it and putting frets in and fret dots. They have those level of kits. But I get through them, and it's really good quality, and they're doing really fancy woods and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a great resource as well. So there's plenty of stuff here. Thank you so much. I love your enthusiasm as well. Your kids have a great treat with having you at the helm. So thank you for your work there. I'm really enjoying what I'm hearing about Maine. So I appreciate your volunteering for this session of show and tell.
Thank you very much. It's fun.
Yeah, thank you. This year, our Cool Tools blog will be 20 years old, which means we've been posting something new every day for 20 years. It's only possible because of the very engaged and knowledgeable readers and listeners like yourself. You've kept this place going, and we are very grateful for you. With this idea of 20 years in mind, we decided to try an experiment this year, and I'm inviting our guests and listeners to join me on our Cool Tool Show and Tell, which is the program that you're listening to right now. So if you feel you'd make a good guest on this podcast and have 4 uncommon tools that you'd like to share with us, please sign up on our form on the website, and we'll see about inviting you. You must be comfortable talking on a video, and you need to have some tools that you can show. We record on, as you know, on Zoom. We do a YouTube version, a video version of it, as well as an audible version. Fill out the form if you're interested, and list your 4 cool tools, and we'll see if there's a good fit. The applications aren't guaranteed in any way, and we're looking at tools that are new to us and appropriate tools, and whether the times will work for you. So we're really interested in hearing from people all over the world, not just in the US, although the tools have to be available online, easily available online. And if you are a longtime listener, you kind of know what the definition of our tools are. They're very broad. They can be anything that's handy, from something in the kitchen to something you use to travel, to a workshop, to something professional that we may not know about. We're really interested in things that we don't know anything about. So this is an open invitation. We'll give it a try. If you think you make a good guest for this podcast, fill out the form. There'll be a link somewhere on our website. And we look forward to chatting with you. Thank you.